Just ahead on CTV News.
Almost 30 days into school, and we are already seeing more threats of violence than days attended. I'm Bryce Parker. We'll have more details coming up on CTV News.
Thousands of dock workers are still out on the picket lines for day 3 of the strike. I'm Noel James at the Port of Baltimore. I'll bring you that story and much more coming up on CTV News.
And the county launches a new initiative combating family domestic violence. Those stories and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening, you're watching CTV News. It's October 3rd. I'm Michaela Noon. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, there's been an uptick in school threats since the recent mass shooting that took place in Georgia last month. These incidents have become a big issue for the county as we approach the 30-day mark since students returned to school. CTV's Bryce Parker is at police headquarters with more on this story.
Today is the 29th day of the 2024-2025 school year here in Prince George's County. And the Prince George's County Police Department's Homeland Security Division has already investigated an alarming 47 school-related threats. So far, 10 students have been criminally charged by PGPD. All of the students who were charged were between the ages of 13 and 16 years of age. In addition to the 10 who are already charged, the department's investigation has also uncovered 4 other individuals who are connected to these school threats. However, due to Maryland law, the department cannot charge them because all 4 of the juveniles are under the age of 13. Most of the threats the department is investigating are coming from multiple social media platforms, and we got a chance to speak to the department about how they're using social media to find the sources of these threats.
Well, they're able to use a lot of different investigative techniques to go through the social media. We work with your Instagram, Facebook, and all that to try, and we're able to track them down. A lot of things, everybody thinks that they're anonymous if they go on social media, and you're not. You do leave a footprint. My investigators are very good at finding out, who it is, and then we're going to charge you because, this wastes a lot of our time, a lot of the students' time. It puts out, it scares students, and it's not good for anybody in the community.
PGPD is ensuring the community that they're taking every single threat of violence seriously, as we have had more threats than days of school. Just last week, Bladensburg High School had to be put on lockdown after a threat of violence was made towards a group of students who attended the school. Reporting from outside of Prince George's County Police Headquarters, I'm Bryce Parker, CTV News.
All right, Bryce, thanks so much. Well, PGPD says that students who are too young to be charged will receive discipline at their school's discretion, and their punishment could be as severe as expulsion. Meanwhile, we're coming up on day 3 of the dock worker strike. CTV's Noel James is at the picket lines of the Port of Baltimore with the story.
That's right. It is day 3 of the dock workers strike. The International Longshoremen Association is still at an expensive impasse with the shipping companies. Their demands: a 77% pay rise over a 6-year contract and a total ban on the automation of ports. Here at the Port of Baltimore, the leading automobile port in the United States, which is also affected by the strike, by the way, months after just reopening from that catastrophic collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. So how does this affect your bottom line? You could see a price hike in the produce aisle, shortages in fruits, vegetables, meat, and poultry. Just to put this in perspective, 75% of the country's banana supply will be affected, in comparison to 80% of imported beers, wines, and whiskeys. JP Morgan says the effect of this strike could be as expensive as $4.5 billion per day. For now, the picket lines are still looking very busy. I'm Noel James at the Port of Baltimore for CTV News.
All right, Noel, thanks so much for that report. Meanwhile, local libraries are facing nearly a dozen book challenges, with critics targeting titles like Bye Bye Binary and The Blackbird Girls. According to Maryland Matters in Anne Arundel County, these challenged books remain on the shelves thanks to new protections from county officials. This month, the Anne Arundel County Public Library became Maryland's first book sanctuary committed to collecting and safeguarding endangered books. And there's a new policy on facial recognition technology for law enforcement agencies in Maryland. It closely follows a state law that passed earlier this year, but the ACLU of Maryland is pushing for some extra safeguards. According to the Baltimore Sun, the Maryland State Police have rolled out a model policy that serves as a guide for police departments across the state. However, agencies have the flexibility to add their own requirements or even opt out of using this technology altogether. And Maryland State Police will pay $2.75 million to 48 women and black applicants who were rejected for trooper jobs after failing tests later deemed discriminatory. This settlement, approved by the Board of Public Works yesterday, comes as part of a consent decree following a 2-year Justice Department investigation. The probe found that written and physical tests unintentionally disqualified African American and female applicants.
Old hiring tests that prompted the investigation here did not distinguish between candidates who could successfully perform the job of a trooper and those who could not. This made the tests not just ineffective, but unlawful. The underrepresentation of black and female applicants in law enforcement undermines public safety, runs contrary to the principle of equal opportunity, and fails to reflect the rich racial and gender diversity of our communities.
State Police Superintendent Colonel Roland Butler acknowledged the findings, committing to reforms in testing practices. New non-discriminatory tests will be developed under federal supervision, but current tests will be used with relaxed standards in the meantime. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Michaela Newton. Coming up, if you're looking for a new location to get your steps in, we have just the spot.
Well, you may have heard that in Maryland, October is Walktober. We're all about getting your steps in, getting outdoors. So if you're looking for somewhere a little bit different than your local neighborhood, I've got a great park for you to visit on your next hike coming up on CTV News.
I was a quarterback at Hardaway High School, college first-round draft pick. On and off the field, we were taught to not show any signs of weakness. During the football season, I would stop eating, but I didn't know I was depressed. I thought that something was wrong with me. For 20 plus years was physical. We didn't have any education behind what mental health was. I started to learn it starts here first. If this is together, I'll be better as a father, as a man, and as a husband. Put the importance on your mental health. I'm not scared to talk about it anymore. The first tool is therapy. The second one is positive self-talk. And then journaling, putting your thoughts on paper. We have to redefine what being a strong man is and heal, love your mind.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Welcome back. Approximately 2 weeks ago, a 13-year-old girl was shot inside a Seat Pleasant home after returning from school. Now, it's a case of family violence that we are seeing across the country. The girl's mother was arrested in connection with the shooting and is currently being held without bond in a local jail. Today, Prince George's County State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy and Sheriff John Carr launched a Prince George's Collaborative with county partners aimed to focus on the increase in family domestic violence and efforts to work with families and the community to provide resources to those in need. Now, we actually heard from a man who was a victim of family domestic violence that unfortunately resulted in the death of his wife and 8-year-old son.
He had the gun point blank and he fired it, pow, pow, at me. I go tell my wife, I realized that she had expired and my 8-year-old son had expired.
Part of this collaborative, in addition to the work that we will do today, which is educating people on the resources we have in the community, training our law enforcement partners on our new protocol. We will also advocate at the county level, the state level, and the federal level for resources to build a long-term care facility here in Prince George's County.
Now, officials mentioned that their new protocol will be a lot like the steps they took to cut down on strangulation cases in the county. This includes training for emergency services and some new legislation. Well, as the weather gets colder, black bears start to become more visible across the state. According to the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, during this time of year, more black bears go out into the wild as they search for food in preparation for their winter hibernation. The agency wants to remind residents to keep bird feeders, pet food, and trash in an area that bears cannot reach. Black bears typically are found in Allegheny, Frederick, Garrett, and Washington counties, but are known to travel to northern and central counties in Maryland. The bears are expected to enter their dens in mid-November and stay there until mid-December. And Governor Wes Moore lands on a magazine's coveted list of emerging leaders from across the world who are defining the next generation of leadership. Time magazine featured Moore on its Time 100 Next 2024 list. The publication credits Moore in his handling of the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge and the reopening of the Port of Baltimore in just 11 weeks. And the Time list includes an eclectic group of names, including singer like Sabrina Carpenter, actress Nicola Coughlan, and New York City's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Michelle Morse. And if you have brought Breyer's natural vanilla ice cream within the past 8 years, you might be entitled to financial compensation. Now, the ice cream company reached a nearly $9 million settlement in a class action lawsuit filed in June. It alleges the company falsely advertised a vanilla flavor made from the vanilla plant, but it actually contained non-vanilla plant flavors. The lawsuit applies to U.S. customers who bought the ice cream between April 21st of 2016 and August 14th of this year. But for more information on how to receive your payment, visit vanillaice-cream-settlement.com. And what activity gives you a full body workout, improves your heart health, boosts your mood, and improves mental health? If you guessed hiking, you'd be correct. Prince George's County is home to 3 Maryland state parks, and our Mariah Gillette took a trip down to Rosaryville State Park to get her lay of the land.
October is officially upon us and the weather's cooling down. If you're a fan of outdoor activities, I'm sure you're looking for your next great hiking trail, outdoor excursion. We've got some great parks here in the county. So let's talk about some hiking tips to make sure we're going to be safe. Get your hiking boots on, get your layers on, let's go.
I love the outdoors. Parks are my happy place, so I get to work in my happy place every day. I definitely recommend the perimeter trail. It is our most popular trail, and it does go around the perimeter of the park. You can also access the Tilley Trail. That's another addition onto the perimeter trail. And then the third trail we have here is the Agricultural Heritage Trail. That one's much shorter, only about 1.5 miles.
Before you head out on one of the trails here, get your checklist marked off with all the things you'll need, starting by checking the conditions outside.
Definitely check the weather before you get to the park. Like you said, the weather can change quickly, so you always want to make sure you have a cell phone or radio with you. That way you can contact anyone if you do need assistance. Trees may have come down across the trail, so definitely let us know, the park rangers, that way we can get out and clear them.
Next on your list should be some sturdy walking shoes. Sierra recommends trail runners or boots, some light layers, and your supplies.
I'd definitely recommend having a day pack with you when you're out hiking the trail. Definitely you want water, snacks, extra layers. Even though the temperatures are cooler this time of year, you definitely still want to bring water. Even wearing sunscreen doesn't hurt.
And if you're new to hiking or not quite ready for the uneven terrain, you still have some options for a great walk full of sights.
Here at Rosaryville, I actually like to walk the road. It is very popular with a lot of our regular visitors just to walk the road. You could definitely see a lot of that fall foliage as well as migratory birds.
From Rosaryville, Mariah Gillette, CTV News.
And you'll want to steer clear of those black bears we just talked about, Mariah. Thanks so much. Rosaryville State Park is open every day from 8 a.m. to sunset. But for more information about the park and to see reports about the state's changing foliage, visit the Department of Natural Resources website at dnr.maryland.gov. And you're watching CTV News. We'll be right back with more stories after we return.
The doctor said I only had a 29% chance to find you. But I knew you were out there. Every night, even when my heart was sad, I wished for you to sign up. I got so sick that I couldn't go to school, but I still made people laugh. But when we matched, it was the best day ever. Dear donor, your blood stem cells saved me from leukemia. Thank you forever and ever and ever. Sincerely, Owen.
Experience the true joy of saving a life at nmdp.org.
Social anxiety affects 15 million American adults, which is around 7% of the population, with most experiencing symptoms from childhood. Now, despite its prevalence, it can take up to 10 years for individuals to seek help, often leading to higher risks of substance abuse and depression. In her new memoir, Out of My Shell, Overcoming Social Anxiety from Childhood to Adulthood, therapist Natasha Daniels reflects on her own battle with social anxiety, sharing how it shaped her life.
It was therapeutic. I didn't think it would be because it's a big project, but writing it in minute detail, and I do therapy with my younger selves in the book, was actually really therapeutic. And even just having it out there is therapeutic. If you're worried about pimples and you're worried about, for me, when I was in school, it was worried about reading out loud. I thought I was going to have an anxiety attack. I think you get better at masking. Some people do as they become adults. And then there's other issues. It can impact your profession, or now you're a mother. That's embarrassing. There's things your kids can do. It can grow bigger with different ages.
And for more information about Out of My Shell, go to socialanxietyreality.com. Well, the influence of AI has rapidly grown across the globe in the past decade, and a local man is using his AI business to revolutionize public safety. Pravista AI, based in Oxon Hill, is using artificial intelligence to detect potential dangers before they happen. Pravista uses camera technology to identify firearms through security cameras and drones. We spoke to President and CEO Vinard Wright about the importance of having this technology here in Prince George's County.
So Silicon Valley is investing heavily in artificial intelligence, and a lot of the intellectual capital is going to the West Coast to really go and develop companies and create solutions. I think it's important for us to have it here on the East Coast, and even more important to have it right here in Prince George's County, because we are going to all be affected by artificial intelligence and automation. So what we've done is we created a platform that leverages computer vision, and it looks at camera streams in real time, and when a gun is detected, we notify police immediately.
And another one of Wright's goals is to normalize Black-owned startups going public in the stock market. Well, the Prince George's County Chamber of Commerce is celebrating their 100-year anniversary. This Saturday, a gala will be held in honor of the centennial year, and local businesses and business leaders will be honored. Some of the awards include a special Lifetime Achievement Award and Emerging Business of the Year, just to name a few. We spoke with the Chamber's president and CEO about this historic milestone.
So it's a celebration of 100 years, but it's also a celebration of a launch into a new century, right? New products, new opportunities, new ways to serve, new businesses that will be brought forth through innovation, through climate, through everything, right? So it's a very unique moment. It only happens once in a century. So the work that we do culminates in this moment, but it's not the end, it's actually the start.
The gala will feature over 500 guests, with some special guests, including County Executive Angela Alsobrooks. And if you're a Swiftie, listen up. If you're looking to have the best day, grab your cardigan and head to this Taylor Swift theme attraction in Gambrills. The Swiftie Maze will have you out in the woods and into the corn stalks. CTV's Katara Jones brings us the full story.
It's time to hop in your getaway car with your friend and even a lover and make your way down to the Maryland Corn Maze in Gambrills. And the theme for this year's Fall Festival and Corn Maze is, you guessed it, Taylor Swift.
the moms and the girls that pick date night are the ones who love Taylor Swift, maybe that's not such a bad idea.
It all started with an idea from Carol Paul's son's friend to make this year's theme for the Maryland Corn Maze into a unique Taylor Swift maze.
So then we started designing the idea of a maze. And we do that on paper first. And we said we didn't want to do her face. We wanted to just do some of the things that she loved, that Taylor Swift loved, and things people knew about her, like the heart hands and her favorite number and the year she was born and things like that. So we put that into our maze design. Once we decided on the maze design, we then go about building it with a GPS.
Paul's team plants the corn at the end of June. Then 2 weeks later, they shape the design with GPS coordinates using spray paint and string.
From February all the way until planting day in June, I'm thinking of ideas. Every time I'm in a store, every time I'm visiting my family goes crazy. They're like, Mom, can you talk about something else besides the corn maze? I'm always thinking about ideas and how we can pull the theme into what we already do here.
Paul, who's a native of Prince George's, has been operating the corn maze since 2006, which has now grown to include a fall festival. Some attractions include corn pits, a petting farm, and a new paintball target shooting.
They've climbed our tire mountain and our giant hay pyramid. Zip lines is a great thing. We have our pony rides. We have a horse trailer here that they go in and play in the hay. It's sometimes hard for me to remember all the activities until I look around and take it all in. But we have our big web swings that they can almost get on as a whole family. Our slingshots. There's a lot to do besides eat the kettle corn and funnel cakes.
So if you're ready to say so long to your cruel summer and enter into your autumn era, then the Maryland Corn Maze is definitely a place to check out. Katara Jones, CTV News.
Looks like a lot of fun, Katira. Thanks so much. And to get all of the info to plan your visit, you can go to mdcornmaze.com. Well, after the break, Simon Buggs is here with us talking sports, UMD hoops, and Commanders football. What do you have for us today?
That's right, Michaela. And not only that, but also have some exciting world from the MLB. Stay right there, sports fans. Back in a moment.
More than 6 million kids in the U.S. have ADHD. Many aren't getting the support they need. At understood.org, we can help. Sometimes in class, the only thing your child can focus on are the thoughts racing through their head.
Why can't I just pay attention? Why am I always falling behind? Why do I feel so alone? So different.
Your child is looking to you for answers, to help them make sense of it all. But as a parent, you probably have a lot of questions too. What should I do next? Where do I even start? At understood.org, we provide parents with the resources they need to help kids with ADHD thrive. Your child wants to thrive. Be the reason they do.
What up, sports fans? It's finally time for your Thursday sports page. Let's get into it. The MLB playoffs continued yesterday over in Baltimore as the Orioles were looking to avoid elimination in their wild card series against the Kansas City Royals. But unfortunately, the Birds fell short of their mission. The Royals took down the O's in a low-scoring game, 2-1. And with that loss, Baltimore was swept as they lost the series 2-0.
We're very disappointed. It's definitely not ending. I think especially when you lose like this, there's frustration, there's anger, there's disappointment because you felt like there was opportunities there in those couple games to change the score, and it didn't happen. And I'm proud of our team. I thought we had a really good first half. Things were going well. Second half, we had a lot of bumps in the road, and I thought we battled as well as we possibly could. We persevered. We got into the postseason. We hosted a wild card. We just had a tough time offensively these two games against a really good pitching staff.
This is now the 10th playoff game in a row the Orioles have lost. The Birds will look to next season to make a World Series run. Better luck next year, fellas. Meanwhile, the UMD basketball squad has landed another 4-star recruit as combo guard Christian Jeffrey will stay in the area for his college career. Jeffrey currently attends Mount Zion Prep in Lanham. He's also ranked as a top 10 player in the class of 2025 and ranked top 5 in the state of Maryland. The 6'3", 200-pound guard chose Maryland over Michigan, Tennessee, and Penn State. The Commanders will match up against the Cleveland Browns this Sunday, but it won't be easy as head coach Dan Quinn says it is a tough team.
One thing that I really think about Cleveland that first comes to mind, like this is a tough and resilient group. I think they kind of showed that last year to go through quarterback changes and injuries, and they had some of that, through the starting part of this year. And so I think that's one of the things that I look at first, like, man, this is a tough and resilient group, and we know we'll get their best coming in this one, ready to fight for it, and they'll get ours as well. But no, nothing past that. Each game, matches up a little bit differently, and we know the strengths, where they're at, and that's why we're really looking forward to this battle.
Kickoff is at 1 o'clock. And finally, the UMD volleyball squad will return to action tonight. The Lady Terps will take the court against Penn State on the road. First serve is at 6 o'clock. And that wraps up your Thursday sports page.
All right, Simon, who do you think is going to be the biggest reason for the Orioles' early playoffs exit?
Well, I think one reason, really the main reason, is their offensive struggles. This team, I don't know what happened. This team, they struggled to hit the ball this series. They only had one run in their 2 games played against the Orioles, which is such a surprise because this team was one of the league leaders this past regular season in runs scored, so they had no problems putting runs on the board. But the postseason came and all their offensive identity kind of just went out the window. So hopefully the O's can make the playoffs next year and get better on offense and make a deeper run.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Simon.
No problem.
And before we go, let's get a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight will be mostly cloudy. Tomorrow is going to be a nice start to the weekend. It'll be mostly cloudy with a high of 76. Saturday will be nice and sunny with a high of 77 and a low of 53. Sunday, more clear skies are on the horizon. It's going to be 76 degrees and sunny. And finally, for our community calendar, the town of Upper Marlboro is hosting a food truck festival tomorrow. The festival is in recognition of the various horse shows joining the city. The festival is taking place at the Church Street parking lot from 10:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. But for more information, contact that number right there on your screen at 301-627-6905. And that wraps up CTV News for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Good night, everyone.